One property has overtaken Halloween Horror Nights for the last 6 years and has made its mark. It has become a staple of the event as much as pizza fries and fog are. Though with something epic on the rise, I feel this chapter might be coming to an end. Let me explain why. Now, if you look at the history of Horror Nights and the Universal Monsters, it has been enriched in multiple events, multiple years, sometimes even having 2 or 3 houses in 1 year. But just looking at the slate of the last 6 years of Universal Monster houses, they've in fact reinvented themselves multiple times, doing houses that were experimental, doing houses that only focused on certain story aspects, bringing in new characters, and even battling some of the monsters against each other in a 3-way death match. It's safe to say they've created and expanded Universal Monsters beyond just a simple black and white monster house. Because Universal Monster fan, I've enjoyed most of the houses. This house particular, this house as well, and this house was fantastic. I mean, I at least enjoyed it. I know everyone else hated it, but still, it felt like they were at least doing something different than what they've done before. They introduced a new character, new lore. Just dove deeper into the history of Universal Monsters. And, well, the journey is about to shift. There is an epic universe being built. Now, just in case you have been living under a rock or just not from the East Coast, Universal Orlando is set to open a brand new theme park just down the road from the older theme parks, and it is called Epic Universe.
Universal Epic Universe is comprised of 5 incredibly themed worlds, and in those, over 50 unique, compelling experiences. The idea was to bring you to these worlds you couldn't otherwise possibly imagine. And to do that, we wanted to create a mechanism that allowed you to be transported into another world, and it starts at the very entrance of the park itself.
And one of those worlds is containing the Universal Monsters in Dark Universe.
In Dark Universe, you'll enter a foreboding world of unearthly legends and monstrous experiments.
To me, just nothing is more universal than the Universal Monsters.
Now, this is where I believe this leads us down to the path of Halloween Horror Nights departing from Universal Monsters. Now, sadly enough, as it was, the last Universal Monsters house that we had did not receive glowing reviews. So until with that, along with Dark Universe just being 10 minutes down the road from where Halloween Horror Nights is, I don't foresee them going the route of having Universal Monsters at the park and Universal Monsters at Halloween Horror Nights. It would only make sense as a company that you want to say, hey, you want to see the Universal Monsters? You want to see Frankenstein's bride? You want to see Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman? Come check them out. We have a theme park with a section dedicated to them with merch and restaurants and meet and greets and rides. Go check them out over there. don't go check them out at Halloween Horror Nights, but buy a ticket to this park and go see them there. But never fear, this is not the end for Universal Monsters at Halloween Horror Nights to a certain degree. Now, if you are unaware, they are already announced to be a part of the Horror Unleashed, which is a 365 haunted event that takes place over in Las Vegas, featuring set mazes year round. And along with that, they have a deep, rich history over in the Hollywood Park over on the West Coast. And this is where I believe this is going to take us down a different pathway for Universal Monsters.
Now, let us not forget that Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood kind of gave birth to the Universal Monsters being popular. In fact, they featured a year-round haunt with them called the Universal House of Horrors, and also featuring the Wolfman Curse of Talbot Hall. And right before the merger of Universal Monsters being in both East Coast and West Coast events, they had, back in 2018, Universal Monsters Music by Slash, which kind of sprung off on its own journey of Slash doing the music and the soundtrack for the monster houses from that point going forward.
And for all the East Coast attendees to the Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando, if you are unaware, Hollywood has their own way of doing the monster houses. They've actually had a separate storyline before we got mixed and mingled into this three-way house kind of idea with Unmask, one before that, and then just this last one, which from a marketing standpoint, it makes sense for both events on the West Coast and East Coast to have one central kind of theme and not have a different monster house over there and a different monster house over here. It made sense from a marketing aspect because you just take one image and slap it on stuff. And you don't have to decipher if it's Halloween Hollywood or if it's Orlando. You just say Halloween Horror Nights. I do believe with Orlando taking a break, at least for now, from Universal Monsters, that this opens up the door for Hollywood to do whatever they want to do with that license.
Now hear me out, this is just my idea, I haven't heard any concrete information. But as you look at the land itself, obviously they have fog rolling in, it has that creepy atmosphere, you have 2 rides, meet and greets, plenty of food, plenty of extra space. Now what if they gave it a Halloween Horror Nights treatment? Tons of stuff you can do. I have tons of ideas of how this could work in this land. Now, if you would like for me into a future video, let me know by clicking that thumbs up and let me know down in the comment section, would you be interested in a Dark Universe After Hours event?
Do you think Dark Universe is the end of Universal Monsters for Halloween Horror Nights? Or maybe it's just a little break? Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for the support. I bid you farewell.